Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scared Shitless. This is a character exploration. Today we are going to be exploring Stu Macher, one of the ghost faces from the original Scream. I've just realised the plural of face is confusing. Anyway, I'm Ryan and I am joined by Ali.
How you doing, YouTubers? Good to see you again.
And Jamie.
Hello, everybody.
So, the first thing we're going to talk about Stu Macher, expertly played by Matthew Lillard, is who was Stu? What did we know about Stu? So
he was an accomplice. That's one of them.
He was an accomplice.
He was a psycho fuck.
That's it.
I'll tell you, right? I've only watched Scream, well, now twice, but before this episode, as part of the horror retrospective, I'd only ever seen Scream once. And I've got to say, watching it again, I liked it even more than the first time. Like, I stick to my side.
Good man.
And the acting, and from Stu, as Ryan said, but the acting in general was great. So, watching it, I feel like I know much more about the characters, and I'm totally ready to talk about Stu.
Okay, sweet. So we know for a fact.
All that in a nutshell.
Stu was a student at Woodsboro High. As Ali said, we know he was an accomplice to Billy Loomis. We know Billy approached them about killing Maureen Prescott, and then somehow that led to them killing the others a year later. We know he was very over the top and had some exaggerated mannerisms. From watching it, I'm wondering if Stu had a mental illness of some sort.
I have a question before we get to that.
Okay.
Right, so they killed Maureen Prescott because Billy had his issue because in his opinion Sydney's mum was a slut.
Who had an affair with Billy's dad, which made Billy's mum leave. Yeah,
absolutely. So I see the point of them going after Sydney. Why did they go after Drew Barrymore's character? What was their motivation in that one?
That's another thing we know about Stu. We know Stu used to date Casey Becker, Drew Barrymore's character.
There we go.
Right. Also mentioned that she dumped him for Stephen Orth, her boyfriend at the start.
Issues right there.
Tatum then says, they're all discussing it. Tatum turns to Stu and says, I thought you dumped her for me. And he's like, yeah, I totally did.
You lying bastard.
Right, so the motivation of her, she spawned.
Oh yeah, that was his motivation right there. Fuck the bitch.
Okay, fuck the bitch is maybe a bit harsh, but are you talking for yourself, Ali, or is this you try to put yourself into Stu's mind? I'm just putting
it out there, man. I'm just putting it out there. Fuck the bitch, basically.
Okay.
Stu was punching in a pretty high fucking weight class.
For Drew Barrymore and Rose McGowan, he's doing pretty well for himself. Yeah,
that's pretty good going. Like, well done, Stu. Your mental
round of
crazy
applause.
your mental happiness aside, that's good going.
So the only other things we know about him, he has potentially some hunting experience, because he clearly demonstrates that he knows how to skin an animal. And the scene where he's sitting around talking about, Casey and Stephen have been killed, and they're like asking the men, and they're like, they asked us if we've ever been hunting. And they're like, how would you even do that? And he literally stops to take the time. He's like, well, you would insert the knife here.
You'd cut them from what did he say? Was it a pubis to sternum or something? Maybe not those words, but he had some good. Watching this movie again, fucking hell, it was like, how did we not guess the first time that they were fucking the killers? Like, they had, the detail was outrageous.
They both, Matthew Lillard played Stu so well, and Skeet Ulrich played Billy so well. They were both incredible. But okay, so like I said, he has some really over the top mannerisms. He's very over exaggerated, and that in part could just be, in fact, was just Matthew Lillard really putting his own feel on the character. But I'm wondering if it also hints at, like I said, possible mental illness, maybe something along the lines of bipolar disorder. Maybe they used to call it manic depressive because he's sure as fuck manic.
Yeah. Maybe that's to do with the fact, fairly good looking guy, senior year in high school, and he's, banging these smoking hot chicks. He's probably thinking he's, the shit among men. So maybe that could explain part of it, but I've never really thought about that. He could have certainly had something going on in that department. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would be out of the question for him to be for something like that, with how manic he is, with how hyper he gets. I really think it could potentially be something there, and that would also maybe explain why he was so attached to Billy. If he believes Billy's maybe his one true friend, and other people don't understand him and things like that, then maybe it makes it a little easier for Billy to manipulate him.
Yeah, they both got super excited about the same things, so it was easier for them both to, gel and, go and do these crazy things together.
What's your thoughts on that, Ali?
Yeah.
I thought Billy was a little bit more, they were good buds, but I felt Billy was sort of holding back a little bit each delivery of what Stu was saying, totally they were supporting each other, but it just felt that like Stu was just a little bit more over than what Billy was, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
Like, I just felt that Billy was holding something back.
Do you mean Billy's more reserved personality-wise in comparison to Stu? I think that.
I think Billy was smarter. I think he was. I think Billy was the operation.
Yeah. Billy was certainly the driving force out of the two of them. He was the one who, was leading the whole thing. Undeniably.
And we can see that from like the final scene. Like when he's like, "Give me the knife now," like ordering him around, sort of in that dominant, like, "Look, I'm the fucking boss. This is my plan. Just get on board and do what you're told."
And we will at some point, probably not too far away, also be doing a character exploration of Billy Loomis. So we don't want to go too much into detail on Billy.
Absolutely. So let's keep on.
We'll try to stick to Stu just now, but character exploration on Billy Loomis will be coming. And if you would like to see any of the other Ghostfaces, the plural of that word is just fucking with me today. If you would like to see a character exploration on any other Ghostface, let us know which one in the comments, and we will get to them sooner rather than later. We definitely will be doing Billy Loomis before we do any of the other Ghostfaces. But other than that, let us know. And
welcome to Scared Shitless, the podcast that can't stop talking about Scream.
That's essentially
his fault. His fault.
So, okay, the one other thing that at least is hinted about Stu is his parents are quite possibly absent a lot. Like, we know he has this big party at the end when there's a killer on the loose, and his parents are fucking nowhere to be seen.
That was a sick ass house.
Yeah, but we also know that they're very much alive because, after Sydney's called the police, he says, "My mom and dad are going to be so mad at me." So, he's not killed them; they're just not there. And you'd think when there's a serial killer around town, your mom and dad probably stick about to make sure their teenagers are all right.
What was the time frame of this whole movie? Because I'm trying to figure this out. It's a few days, right? They could have been away somewhere on holiday.
It's really not a large time frame at all. from
is it not
Casey,
like a week?
I think it's even maybe less than that. Yeah, but from Casey and Stephen getting killed to the party, you're talking maximum a week, so it's not a long time frame. I think it's like one school week, So yeah, maybe maybe the initial killings happened on the Sunday, and it ends on the Friday. I'm not 100% sure, but that feels pretty accurate to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But okay, section 2, Stu's motives. So the motive he gives us is peer pressure. What do you think about that, Jamie? Do you think it was peer pressure? Was Stu's driving motive?
I mean, I've watched this movie again, as I said before. I get Billy's motives. I still don't get Stu's motives. I remember the scene from the video store where, the guy was like, the millennium, and he was doing his manic thing, like he was giving him a hug. He's like, yeah, the millennium. And he was fucking loving that. He didn't know why he was doing it. And he's like, yeah, the millennium. That's fucking awesome. Like, I'm killing people and now I've got a reason for it.
That's a good one. That's a good
I never understood why he was so into that. And I was like, maybe that could be it. Maybe a wee bit of motivation because he'd never had a good one to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, he says peer pressure. He says he's far too sensitive. And maybe Billy just straight up manipulated him into doing it. And he felt pressured into it. Maybe.
Build his strength.
Maybe, like I say, maybe he has some mental illness and he genuinely thought it was fun. Maybe, having, he's like you said, he watched some horror movies, took a few notes, and it was fun. Maybe Billy just convinced him this is going to be a good time.
Maybe Billy had something on him.
Maybe it was because he was dumped by Casey Becker, and that. But to be fair, I think that probably happened after they killed Maureen. They don't really give us a time frame for when he was dumped by Casey or when they dumped Maureen. Maybe it was because he was.
That motivation is Billy's motivation, right? What's Stu's problem with someone sleeping with someone else's mum apart from this is my friend? And
that's the thing. Actually, when Billy says, Sydney's asking for a motivation from them, and Billy says maybe it's because your mum was sleeping with my dad and it made my mum leave. There was a split second where Stu actually looked like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not sure Stu knew that's why they killed Maureen. Like, I don't even, I know that's why Billy done it. I don't think Stu knew that's why they done it. I think Stu thought she was flashing her shit around town like she was Sharon Stone, and she was no Sharon Stone. And that was a good enough reason for him. I don't think he had any idea that Billy's dad was sleeping with Maureen Prescott. Because, I might be entirely wrong, but there is, like I say, just 1 second where like Billy's explaining and the camera cuts to Stu. And Stu's like, what? Like, it's honest to God, like only there for a second, but it's like, I didn't fucking know that. Did you notice this, Ali?
No, not until you've looking back on it now. No, that's probably a good way of putting it across.
Actually, anyone watching at home, drop in the comments. Genuinely, do you think Stu knew that Maureen was sleeping with Hank Loomis?
Personally, I never noticed that. But having a look around Reddit, people talking about Scream and stuff like that, people have mentioned this before, and there's some interesting theories on why, Stu had a reason to kill Maureen Prescott, and he didn't know about it. There was one that I was like, I'm going to bring this up. I don't think it's my theory. I don't think anyone here will believe this, but it was fucking ridiculous. So that Stu was actually sleeping with Maureen Prescott.
Okay.
And they were killing. They decided to kill her because he was into her and she was whoring around town with other people, and that pissed him off a lot.
Or maybe she done Stu's dad as well. There's one.
I mean, this is just getting
You
crazy.
never know.
We can say
I don't mind.
we can say with certainty that Maureen Prescott was sleeping with Hank Loomis, and she was also sleeping with Cotton Weary. We don't know she was sleeping with Stu. We sure as fuck don't know she was sleeping with Stu's dad, who's absent. He doesn't appear in the entire franchise.
We're not making
Scream what if. Scream what if.
Literally, if you go deep enough onto Quora or Reddit, you'll find theories like this all over the place. I just wanted to share,
Well, that's
Sure.
fair. I don't buy
Throw
that one personally.
some
but it's
multiverse
possible.
theories out here as well now, like totally.
So, okay, we also know that Stu said he had a thing for Sydney. He literally said as he's attacking her, I always had a thing for you, Sid. So
Why would you attack her then? You'd want to save her.
By that point, he was committed to killing her. A guy. Once you make up your mind, I swear we're going to do a super cut of that poster falling down at some point. I swear it's like a recurring gag at this point. It's not intentional. It's but yeah. So there's that. Maybe he was jealous of her being, with Billy, and Billy was his best friend. Maybe he was conflicted by this. Like I say, maybe he had a mental illness, potentially bipolar disorder, making him manic. And
maybe Scary Movie had the right idea.
Maybe he was more easily manipulated by Billy. Okay,
Yeah.
Scary Movie then. So, next topic then, Ali. Was Stu in love with Billy?
I think he was to a certain extent. He was either in love with him or he saw him more as a do anything for brother kind of thing. Quite possibly that. Christ, there's 101 theories there, but we have touched on this.
There's not 101 theories. It's a simple question. Was Stu in love with Billy? Yeah, there's two theories, yes or no. Those are the two possible theories for that question. Jamie, was Stu in love with Billy?
I don't know if he was.
That's the third one. That's the third theory.
If he was, it was pushed so deep into the subtext of the movie, even when I was looking out for it, it was hard to find. He may have been, but I'm not sure. It would certainly, as a motive, as a standalone motive, being in love with a crazy person who wants to go and kill people is definitely a motive to go along, maybe for some people to go along with that, especially if they're a bit deranged or they have a mental illness. Let's be more politically correct about that. But whether or not I think he was gay or he was in a relationship with Billy, I can't say either way. I don't think so. I think it's something else.
I think there is one scene at the end when they're both like coming out as the killers. Excuse the pun or don't, and he kind of like leans his chin on Billy's shoulder and he looks at him, and he definitely looks at him, maybe not
with a glare, a little glare.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. We also know that he's dated at least two women, and we know he personally gutted one of them, and he sent the other one to the garage for Billy to kill. So we know of the two women that he has been in a relationship with, he is responsible for both of them being dead. Like that could say something. We also know the other girl he had a thing for, Sydney, who he tried to kill. So maybe he does have feelings for Billy, and he's kind of repressing them and takes it out as very...
It was 1997.
Yes. 96. 96.
96, sorry.
Yeah.
96, yeah.
So he takes it out, potentially he's repressing this and takes it out on women. It's certainly not in the text. It may be in the subtext. It really depends how much you look into it. Now, I, out of curiosity, looked a little possibly deeper than I should have and went down this weird rabbit hole. And if you are interested, there are a lot of videos on YouTube that go into this in like a lot of detail, but at least one or two of them I found I really didn't buy. I found that they were the people making the video are very deep into the LGBTQ plus community, and I feel they were looking for queer. And I think if you look at anything through, if you're specifically looking for something hard enough, you'll find it. Someone once said, if a cop follows you for long enough, they're going to find a broken tail light, and if they don't, they'll break it themselves. So, so I think that it is very much open to interpretation. What I will say is, if he was not in love with Billy, he certainly idolized them, and he certainly.
100%.
It was certainly a very deep friendship from Stu, at the very least. You know what I mean? There was certainly a lot there.
Blood brothers. That's what they were. They were blood brothers, symbolically.
Okay. I mean, there's one last thing I want to discuss about Stu today, but is there anything in particular you want to talk about for Stu Macher before we move on to the final thing?
No, we're cool.
I'm good, by all means.
Okay, so the final thing is, was Stu a psychopath? Now, if anyone is watching this who's right into psychology or whatever, I am aware that psychopath is not an official psychological term. It's not. It is not in the DSM-5. No one is a psychopath as far as doctors are genuinely concerned. And for other people who may say, oh, he's not a psychopath, he's a sociopath, that's the exact same. They're the same thing. The words are used interchangeably. The actual term is antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD. But psychopath just sounds better. So we're going to use it. We're just going to stick with it. So, was Stu a psychopath? Now, before we answer this, I found, I done a wee bit of research and found the main traits that psychopaths tend to show. Now, they don't necessarily show all of these traits, but in order to be classed as having antisocial personality disorder, you need to at least display a good handful. So I thought we'd go through these traits and decide, to take it upon ourselves with all our medical expertise to diagnose, to give Stu an official diagnosis or not. So the first trait a psychopath possesses is socially irresponsible behavior. He's gone on a killing spree, so I'm pretty sure he checks this one off. I mean, what do you guys think? Would you agree? Would you disagree?
If he's in the Hunger Games, then that's all good behavior. But in real life,
well,
that's one check for that behavior.
That's definitely one check for psychopathy. Yeah. The next
one.
What were you saying, Ali?
I was going to say, he's not as psycho as a certain Foley allowing Mark Calloway to throw him off a 16-foot high cell back in '98. That's for sure.
Okay, talking about wrestling, I don't know why you're referring to The Undertaker as Mark Calloway, however, but we'll just move past that. So the next thing you could check off, disregarding or violating the rights of others. Once again, he went on a killing spree. There's not much conversation to be had about that one. Another
check.
Inability to distinguish between right and wrong. Okay, Ali, could you tell the difference between right and wrong?
Yeah, I think he could. I think he knew what he was doing was wrong.
Jamie?
He just shows.
I mean, they followed rules in other parts of society, whether or not. I don't know.
I've got to
Does
say,
he-
I personally think Ali's right. I think they knew the difference between right and wrong. I think
Does
that's
they
part
had
of
a
the
plan
reason.
to get away with it, right?
Yeah, they had a plan to get away with it. They were trying to pin it on Sydney's dad. You know, they pinned the first one on Cotton Weary. They knew fine well what they were doing was completely wrong. They just didn't care. You know, they knew the difference. They just didn't care about the difference. So okay, so that's a check against psychopathy. But it is another check towards socially irresponsible behavior and disregarding rights. So we're okay. So
We're doing well.
difficulty showing remorse or empathy.
That definitely, like when they were talking about the murder, he was having a great time talking about laughing it off, and that was pretty much the first scene when they're all together at the school. That is a big old check.
I think you're right, Ali.
Totally, 100%.
Tendency to lie often. Okay, all we get is a snigger there.
More or less lied through the whole thing, didn't we?
Well, I mean, they certainly lie about not being killers. It's. I mean, one of the first things he say in that scene where they're sitting about is he says, "I didn't kill anybody," and Billy turns and says, "No one said you did." And it's like the two of you are lying bastards.
Billy, shut the fuck up! Why'd you even bring that up? You could just tell internally. It's like, God damn it, gotta screw this up, Stu.
So yeah, they do lie often. Okay, manipulating and hurting others. I think we can check that one off quite nicely. When you hurt someone with a knife, you're definitely causing trouble. Recurring problems with the law.
Do we find that?
I don't think it's lifted for anything else, right?
We actually know nothing about this. We don't know about any past history. It's never mentioned, but I think
I would have assumed when Billy was taken in, they would have said, "Oh, you've got priors. This doesn't look good for you." So I'm assuming Billy doesn't have any.
I assume the same for Stu, because Stu's dating Tatum. Tatum was Dewey's sister. If he was a police officer, if his sister was dating someone with known priors, he may have mentioned that he doesn't like her dating him. Instead, he goes and drops her off at the party and everything.
Not that Tatum ever gave a fuck about what Dewey said.
That's very true. But just saying. I don't think he checks this one off. As far as we know, anyway. And the final one, a general disregard towards safety and responsibility. I think we can check this off. He's not a very safe Ghostface. That's my thoughts. But what about you? What did you think of that?
Nah, clumsy bastard.
I'm not a psychologist, but I don't know if this means like in every aspect of their life, or just, because not every serial killer is a psychopath. Pretty much every serial killer could probably, on our estimation, check a lot of these criteria. Like, we might be checking them prematurely.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if every serial killer is a psychopath. It's not something I've looked into, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I know there are a lot of people who have been diagnosed real life with antisocial personality disorder or psychopathy who haven't hurt anyone. So just because someone's a psychopath does not mean they're a killer. But I think if you're a serial killer, there's a pretty high chance you are a psychopath, if that makes sense. But apparently a lot of psychopaths also become politicians. They also become police officers. They also become, government officials. They tend to look for positions of power. Because it's something people with psychopathy are drawn towards.
Some of the looks on his face throughout the whole thing, and from his actions, I think if it's not a psychopath, he's definitely got some kind of
mental illness or something.
Some kind of mental illness, or he's just a fucking dick.
Well, I think with the way we've checked this off, we've checked off 6 of 8 elements for antisocial personality disorder. So I would say that certainly clarifies that, he has, he checks off most of the elements. Now, obviously, again, that was just for fun. We do not have any medical, we do not have any medical training.
If it was kills, I think we've got another piece of evidence. If it was just kills alone, maybe they could just be, categorized into they're a killer, they've got no mental illness, they're just horrible people. But the crazy planning and the voice changer with the manipulative phone calls, I think, tips it over the edge. That
they're properly mentally tormenting their victims before killing them. Like, it's not just killing them; it is properly messing with them beforehand. They're intentionally causing mental torment that they absolutely do not need to be causing. Not that they need to be killing them either. So, okay. Officially, according to the Scared Shitless doctors, Stu is a psychopath. So that has the Scared Shitless stamp of psychopathy on it. We need to get a wee stamp of psychopathy made up that I can stamp on these videos. That won't be there for this one, but hopefully for the next one. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was just a bit of fun, a bit of a chance for us to talk more about Stu. Like I say, we will be doing this type of video again. We will be doing a character exploration on Billy Loomis, and if you want to see any other Ghostface, have a video made about them, let us know in the comments and we will make it happen. And yeah, until next time, that's it from us. So thanks for joining us. Click the thumbs up button, click subscribe if you haven't already. If you're interested in more content from Ali, the link to his channel will be in the description. He discusses professional wrestling, comic books, and science fiction. If you're interested in content from Jamie, the bearded man himself, you can find links to his channels in the description. He discusses Harry Potter stuff.
Which one? There's 3.
That's true. He discusses Harry Potter, and he discusses he does reaction stuff as well on occasion. So go check out their stuff. Click one of the things on this channel for more content. We have a Scream playlist which will come up now. Go watch that. It's good. Honest. And until next time, we will be back for one last scare.